Hello everybody, welcome back to JS Cubing. Today we're going to be looking at the top 5 hardest Rubik's Cubes that I own. So number 1, well I guess I should say number 5 because it's not the hardest, it's the 5th hardest. We have the gear ball. Now if you know anything about the gear cube, you'll actually know that that puzzle is extremely easy. But what makes the gear ball difficult? Well, let's take a look at the gear cube. These are basically the same thing, right? Well, not quite. If we look at all the pieces, the gear ball actually has more colors than the gear cube, making this cube actually a lot more difficult than this cube right here. To better explain this, I'm going to do a quick scramble and solve for you. Just look at how much more complicated this looks. Already we can see that there are edge swaps within the internal layers, and we have managed to create a type of parity within all the edges. To be clear, I do not know how to solve this puzzle, so let's see where we can go with this. Okay, this is progress. Oh hey, we actually did it. Good job us. Next up is the twisted cube. Now this is difficult for a very obvious reason because it's a cube. And cubes are more on the difficult side of puzzles in my opinion, but also there are 4 centers right here that are orient sensitive. So if you were to do an algorithm that swapped these centerpieces like this one, all of these 3 edges are now twisted the wrong way, so the cube is not actually solved. Now I don't remember what I did, so I'll solve this later. An even more challenging version of that puzzle, this is called the X cube. It is center sensitive, so the center orientation matters, but not for just 4 sides, for all 6 sides. This cube is the hardest cube that I have ever solved, and that's a bit of a stretch because I have solved one of the cubes that's on the next section of this list. Now we're on to the crazy stuff. These are puzzles that I cannot actually solve. And the first one is a 4x4 master Pyramix, and I can technically solve it, but I always get this parity where the centers are all swapped and I have one face solved. However, if I were to scramble it right now, there's a small chance, a very, very small chance that I would be able to get it back to its proper state. It's kind of like 4x4 parity, where when we were all learning how to solve 4x4 and we didn't quite want to know the parity algorithm yet, we didn't quite learn it, we would just mix up the cube and then hope that we didn't get parity on that exact solve in order to solve 4x4. So in the number 1 spot, some of you may remember this, I made a video on it trying to solve it and I failed miserably, and I still haven't solved it since that video. This would be the EVEY 5x5 shape model. This is basically a 5x5, but there are no outside pieces, so there are no edges, there are no corners, these are only the center pieces of a 5x5. Now I could try to solve this right here on camera and embarrass myself again, or I could not. But you guys know this channel, so I'm going to be smart and I'm going to not embarrass myself again, and we're going to do it again. I managed to try to solve it and get it back into literally the exact same position that it was just in. Okay, we're getting somewhere. And we just moved the problem elsewhere. And we failed again. And that is my top 5 list for my hardest Rubik's Cubes. I'm going to have a lot of fun over the next few years, probably, trying to solve these 3 cubes. For a shout out, comment how many Pyramixes I have, excluding the 4x4 Pyramix and my Master Morphix. As always, remember to join the Patreon. There are courses available there, and I do exclusive giveaways on my Patreon as well. So if you want cubes or merch delivered to you for free, highly recommend joining the Patreon. Also, maybe check out another video. I know you enjoyed this one.